It's Helen here from helenmartinonline.com. Just gonna check. Okay, how are you today? Today's topic is, are you reactive or are you responsive? Now, you may not think that's very important, but the difference between the two can sort of make or break you and make a massive difference in your life. So that's today's topic. Now, for those of you that have not connected with me before, Helen Martin is my name from helenmartinonline.com, and predominantly what I do is help home-based businesses bring their business online and help them with things like social media branding, lead generation, video marketing, Facebook advertising, things like that. But a lot of what I do is also talk about mindset, and people don't often see the importance in mindset, but honestly, I've learnt this throughout my life. You can learn a skill in a job, like a traditional job or a business. You can learn skills, but depending on how you think, how you act, how you move through life is a huge part of your success. So let's just say you start a traditional job and somebody tells you how to do that job, but your attitude towards that job, what you think about the people you work with, whether you care or you don't care, that's completely up to you. So skills can be learnt, but your attitudes, your thoughts and your beliefs play a huge part in your relationships, your finances, and definitely in your career. So today's topic is a mindset topic. If you haven't connected with me before live, please say hello, drop your name below and tell me where you're from. Put a 1 down below if you've not connected with me before and this is the first time you're on a live, or even on the replay. Just please tune in and let me know where you're from so I can say hello to you after the call. So, reactive versus responsive, the difference can make or break you. So, are you the type of person that reacts to things, or do you think about things and you're quite responsive? Huge difference between the two. So, if you are reactive, it's knee-jerk, it's fight or flight, it's 100% coming from an emotional place. Now, when you do that, when you come from an emotional place and you have a knee-jerk reaction to something, then it increases your stress levels. When you increase your stress levels, you don't have the ability to assess everything you need to assess to make the right decisions, make the informed decisions, and take all the information on board to react appropriately. So you miss the important details. You jump to conclusions. So being reactive is not necessarily the best place to come from. And when you're reactive, you're on the back foot. You're definitely a victim. You take things really personally, and you've probably found yourself in that situation where something happens and you have that knee-jerk reaction and you're instantly reactive to it. And when you do that, the emotion flies off. You might say something you shouldn't say. You might offend somebody you shouldn't offend, and it may not actually be reality what you're reacting to. So the reverse side of that is being responsive. So responsive is being calm. It's taking all the information at hand, it's planning, it's taking consideration, and you take things a whole lot less personally, and you're quite calm. So being responsive in a situation is a better place to come from if you can achieve that. So if you know in your life that you're really reactive, you get a text message or an email, or somebody says something to you that you don't like, you're offended by, and you're really reactive towards that, I would highly suggest you try to teach yourself the skills to be more responsive, because this has a huge impact in your life, in your relationships, even your financial situation, your career. You look at your relationships. If you're a reactive person, you're a knee-jerk person, and your partner says something that you don't like, and you react to that. So when you react, Your senses are heightened, your stress levels go through the roof, and you often over project your body language. You say things you don't mean to say, but you project it in a way that's not necessarily positive. And it can get you into trouble. You know, if your partner does something you don't like or says something and you react to that instantly, that like there's no thought behind it, you just react. And then some kind of, defensive, not necessarily even an argument, but a discussion sort of starts. But then that elevates into an argument, and then, you annoy each other and you don't talk to each other for a day or 2 days or 3 days. Not only is that being completely reactive, completely coming from an emotional place, there's also ego involved there as well. Because if you're not talking to each other for a day, 2 days, or 3 days, then that's just completely coming from a place of ego. If you want to know a bit more about ego, go back through the feed or look at my website. The website is listed above to my video library, and listen to that video from last week regarding ego. So you come from a really reactive place. When you do that, you will say things that you probably shouldn't really say. You will offend people that you don't really mean to offend. They could be your loved ones. But once you say things and once you react the way you do, you can't take it back. Yeah, you can apologize, but it's already out there. So having a really reactive nature is not necessarily going to do you any favors. Being responsive, it doesn't mean it's slow. It just means you're taking things into more consideration. You're assessing everything at hand, and you're being more realistic about the situation, and you're far more calm about it. Also, reactive versus responsive is really important regarding your productivity. So, if you're in a traditional job, or you're in a business, or you work from home like I do, if you are reactive that everything that hits you, like mobile phones, gotta love them because of the convenience. And if you need something urgently, you can ring somebody, or emergency services, or your partner, something's gone wrong. Like, they're brilliant for as far as immediate communication, but they're also, as much as they're brilliant, they're not brilliant. Because how do you feel? How do you feel when your mobile phone is not near you? Do you feel like your left leg is cut off, or your right arm is cut off? If that resonates with you, send me some likes, because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that you feel completely lost when you don't have your mobile phone around you. And that's because this day and age, the communication is so instant. But where reactive versus responsive can affect your life, not only in your relationships with people that are around you, your partner, your children. Do you react to your children? If you react to your children, they react back. What you give, you get back. Like, this is so critical as to how you react or respond. I lost my train of thought there. What was I saying? Mobile phones. Communication. So every time your phone dings, do you pick it up? Every time your email dings, do you go and check it? It's so unproductive. And I've learnt this the hard way. If you look at your phone every second that there's a bit of activity, you're breaking your level of concentration, for one, and you're being reactive to what other people want from you. So somebody sends you a text message or a message and you respond straight away. So one, you're giving them your attention rather than whatever it was that you were working on. So your productivity has just died, and you're being reactive to what everybody else wants from you and not what is the best for you. So being reactive versus responsive has a huge effect on your relationships, your partner, your children, your friends, but also productivity. So when you're picking up your phone every time there's a notification regarding something, Messenger, Facebook, email, whatever, you're not being very productive, and you're making other people's communication more important than your own. So the relationships I just talked about and how that can have an impact. So, being really reactive can cause arguments. Being really reactive with your children, as I said before, can cause arguments. So if a child does something that you're not happy with and you react and you yell, I've learnt this with one of my sons very sort of early on. The more I yelled, the more he yelled back. And I very quickly learned I can't handle these situations in this way. So I have to bite my tongue, think about the situation and deal with it very calmly. That's the way you should deal with everything in your life if you can. Even in business, if you are a reactive person in business, it's going to get you into trouble. So if you're in a traditional business and you deal with employees or customers and you're reactive to things, you will end up putting employees down. You will end up annoying customers. You will end up losing, a bit of business. If you're reactive to things in a negative way, it just causes so much stress. So if you're the authoritative figure, like the boss, the employer, the mentor, the team leader, whatever you want to call it, and you're reactive to things that go wrong in your business, then you will do damage with the relationships that you have in that business. The same thing as if you are the employee or you are the team member looking up. So looking up to a mentor, looking up to a business owner, and something goes wrong with the job that you're doing or the team environment you're doing, and your reaction to that when something goes wrong is, oh, this is not my fault and I can't cope with all this workload and, it just doesn't work. I can't do this anymore. I have team members in my home-based business and other people that I deal with in my online business that I'm just stuck. I don't know what to do. This doesn't work. I've tried this, and it's a totally reactive, where they're coming from, and it just switches people off. It's not a positive thing at all. So if you're the employee or the team member or the person that's being mentored or coached looking sort of upwards to your mentor, a better way is to sit back, not be reactive. It's like, okay, this really isn't working. So then you go to your mentor, your coach, your employer, whatever it is, and you say, I've tried this, it didn't work. This is what I'm doing at the moment, but what I'm doing is not working. What can you suggest that I try differently? So when you're responsive to things and you think about things in a more calm manner with some thought behind it, you'll have much more success and much better outcomes from, your personal point of view, your life. Like, just think about it. Do you get triggered really quickly? If you get triggered really quickly and you are reactive, then you're a victim to everything around you. So my suggestion, if those traits are something you think you have, is try to learn to be more responsive. So how the hell do we do that, Helen, you say? So my suggestions to you in trying to be more responsive rather than reacting is really stop and think before you react. So you're going to react, and before you open your mouth, before you send the text message, before you send the email, before you say a word, stop yourself from doing that and think. So rather than that instant reaction of blurting something out to your partner, which is just going to offend them, or writing that email in anger, don't do it. Just stop and think. And when you're stopping and thinking, then really take a check-in. Is this actually reality, what I'm thinking? So you've sent a text message to somebody in the morning and they haven't got back to you by the afternoon, and your mind's going crazy. Why haven't they responded to me? Are they annoyed with me? Is something wrong? Maybe I annoyed them last week. Well, and your mind's going, you're just reacting to nothing. Nothing. So you've really got to stop and think, what's reality? Oh, well, they actually might be busy. They might have read it and then they've got busy during the day and they've forgotten to go back to it. So just send another message saying, oh, did you get my message? So reactive versus responsive, huge difference to your stress levels in your life. The other thing with productivity, with reactive versus responsive, turn off your technology when you need to. If you've got really something important you need to get done in your business, or you need to work on your money-making activities rather than scrolling through Facebook, or rather than checking every email or notification on Facebook, and you're striving for something in your business, but your phone is by you every second of the day and you check it every time it goes off, you're not being productive. So switch off your mobile phone for an hour and get done what you need to get done. Be proactive and responsive to your work rather than reactive. You'll be far more productive. I've learnt this. It works. Trust me, it works. Sit on something sometimes for 12 to 24 hours. So if you are really reactive to something and you think, oh God, that made my blood boil, or sit on something for a few hours, if not 12 to 24 hours before you react, before you say something, before you send the email, before you open your mouth. Often time will diffuse the situation. Often time will allow you to assess what you really need to assess. Stress levels limit your ability to take all the information in. So when you're calmer and you give yourself time to think, you'll be able to bring in the elements of information that you're missing when you're stressed and you're reactive. So sit on things for 12 to 24 hours. If you're really angry about something and write an email, write the email, but don't send it for 12 to 24 hours. You'll be amazed at how different your perspective will be in that time frame. Now, if something's gone really, really wrong and maybe it's a drama or catastrophe or something, then naturally you're going to react. And that's fine. Just remember the 24-hour rule. If you don't know what the 24-hour rule is, go to my Mindset video library on my website and go and find that one. You can be reactive if you need to be in certain situations. Maybe it's a painful situation, a hurtful situation. Maybe you need to cry, you need to get angry and all that kind of stuff, but only have that emotion for 24 hours. Then be responsive to that. Think mindfully about the situation and how you can move through it. And for your productivity, resist the temptation to jump on everything that's jumping out at you. So prioritize your work, prioritize your goals, prioritize what you need from your life, what you are working on in your life. Switch off technology, switch off other things, and prioritize you. That's not being stubborn or ignorant or selfish. It's just learning to prioritize what you want. Because if you don't, it will work against you. I've done this many a time. I've done it with every job that I've been in. I do it now with people that contact me. So like my previous job that I was in I'm almost finished, I'll wrap this up, for 16 years. So whenever a board member wanted something, I jumped. Whenever I got an email from the president, I jumped. Whenever an employee wanted something, I jumped. And you know what rod that creates for you? Helen's always there immediately. And then because I never said no, never, more work would get thrown at me and I always said yes. So you know what it came down to? Oh, Helen will do it. Helen will do it. Helen's good at it. Helen always does it. Let Helen do it. So from the board, from the management, I created that. If I'd put up boundaries and said, I can't actually handle that project at the moment because I've got to finish this first. If I'd prioritised my own work and stuck up for my own sanity, then I would have caused myself a lot less stress. But by always being reactive to what everybody else wants, to always reacting to everybody else's messages, emails, their demands, my priorities went out the window. So I created an own rod for my back. It still happens to me now with clients, with team members in my home-based business, with friends. They're so used to me responding straight away that when I don't, for some reason, if I am actually really busy or, in a meeting or doing something, if I don't respond within a certain time frame, I get another message and another message. It's like, hang on, you haven't even let me respond to the first message. It's only been a few hours. So you create your own rod for your own back when you are instantly reactive to everything everyone else wants rather than what you need in your life. So, it's really important, if you can, to try to work towards a responsive mindset and not a reactive mindset. This takes years of practice, trust me. It's not something that you're going to wake up tomorrow and go, okay, I'm going to be responsive and I'm not going to be reactive to what everybody else wants from me. It just doesn't work that way. But if you can have a greater level of awareness of not being reactive and really stopping and think, okay, I won't say that, just let me think about this for a second, or I am going to turn my mobile off for an hour because I really need to get this done. If you can learn to bring more responsive traits and have a responsive mindset, then you'll have more success in everything, in your life. So 2 things that I'll leave you with. 1, fight for your priorities. When you're reactive to what everyone else wants, then your priorities go out the window. They just take a lot longer to achieve. And, to try to resist the urge to react. Stop yourself and think and, try to have a more responsive mindset, which is calm. It's assessing all things. It's taking check of, is this really reality what I'm thinking? So I hope that gives you some perspective of the dangers of being reactive versus responsive. And, I'll say again, one of the reasons why I concentrate so much on mindset is you can learn skills in whatever business that you are in. You can learn, a system to get where you need to go in your job, your career, your home-based business, whatever it is that you do. But unless you can think right, have the right attitude, learn things like being responsive rather than reactive, it hinders you. And even if your mindset isn't right and you even have good success, if you've still not got your mindset right, you'll self-sabotage your success. So it's just as important to work on your skill level, not only your skills level, but the way you think, what you believe, the way you act, the way you move through life. It's critical. So I hope you get some value out of that, and it's just provoked some thoughts for you as to how to be more responsive rather than reactive. Your life will be better off for it. So until my next live video, so the next one is training for those of you in the home-based business, and that will be in 2 days' time at a similar time frame to this. So please comment below if you got some value from that. Send me some likes if you've got some value from that, and don't forget to tell me where you're from. I love to go back in after and say hello to people. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening in. Until my next Facebook Live, I'll see you then. Bye.